In this session, we will be discussing some of the primary image file formats. The format of a computer file is indicated in the file extension. File extensions are typically 3 or 4-letter initials separated from the file name by a period. You may already be familiar with certain extensions. Word documents have the .doc extension attached to their file names, PDF documents have the extension .pdf, and web pages will typically have a .html extension. These extensions reveal the file format, which indicate what types of programs created them or what types of programs can actually open and read them. A good practice is to name your files in one word without spaces or special characters, followed by a period and followed by the appropriate file format extension. In this session, we will be looking at the following image file formats: PSD, XCF, JPEG, GIF, PNG, and TIFF. PSD is the default format of any document you create and save in Photoshop. As we will see later on, Photoshop has some powerful features, such as layers and paths. These are elements that will be preserved once you save your Photoshop document, and you can continue working with them when you open your PSD document again. When saving a Photoshop document, your image's quality is maintained. Your images do not get compressed, which of course can lead to larger files, depending on the amount of information saved in your file. At the same time, maintaining your working Photoshop document as a PSD with all of its layers is what you need, so you can fully edit your work until your project is completed. The same is true for GIMP documents as well. The equivalent file format for GIMP uses the .xcf extension. From a Photoshop document or a GIMP document, you can export a variety of file types, depending on what they will be used for. By creating a JPEG file, we are compressing our image, and in the process, we lose a lot of information in order to get a smaller file size. JPEGs allow for millions of colors in our image, so they're great for photographic images. However, when creating a JPEG, we have to be aware of the balance between quality and size. Higher quality JPEGs will be larger, whereas when we try to minimize the size, we will start noticing quality issues and pixelation the more we strive for smaller file sizes. JPEG images are a very common image format, mainly because it allows for the image to look great while keeping the file small enough for the web and for distribution online and via email. Be aware that JPEG compression is lossy, and every time you make changes to a JPEG and save it, the image compression accumulates. You only want to make changes to your original work files that would be within your Photoshop document or your GIMP document, and then save a new JPEG. This way you only compress your image once. Now, before we go any further, you will have to take a brief quiz on the information we've covered so far. A GIF, on the other hand, allows for smaller file sizes by limiting the number of colors within the image. A GIF image can have up to 256 distinct colors. This makes it great for simple graphics as opposed to photographic images, which typically require millions of colors in order to preserve their integrity. GIFs are appropriate for graphics such as logos and buttons, which will primarily be used on the web. They offer good quality for this type of limited color imagery while keeping their file sizes very small. GIF images support transparency, and they can also be used for small web animations. PNG files have the advantages of both JPEG and GIF files. They allow for lossless image compression and millions of colors, while also preserving transparency in the image. They are ideal for the web, rendering photographic images and graphics equally well, and the transparency they allow for is much higher quality than that of GIF files. They allow for what is called alpha transparency, which renders soft edges very well. Lastly, TIFF files are typically large, so we mainly see them in print applications rather than the web. When saving a TIFF file within Photoshop or GIMP, you can choose to preserve the layers of your document, and you can also choose to compress your work using a lossless compression method, LZW. The TIFF file format is more outdated, but you may still encounter it when you deal with print projects.